Right. Hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. We're finally doing it after months of waiting and being behind. My apologies, by the way. We are finally finishing up our Alliance reviews and the series as a whole. Now, I know it's been a while, so it's probably old news to a lot of you, but damn it, I said I was going to see it through, and we're going to see it through. But in the meantime, we only have four more events to go and then our final analysis, so that'll stretch throughout the week here. But in the meantime, it's time for both members of the WWF and members of the Alliance to show, no remorse, no, respect, like, no reprieve, and no mercy. I'm, of course, talking about No Mercy 2001. But, of course, as always, I am not professional. Not a professional wrestling reviewer, analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I would say I had a pretty decent time with this event. Fun fact: I have now watched this event three times now. The first two times were for the purpose of review, of course, but that didn't happen. So I figured we'll watch it one more time, so that I can properly be updated, and so I could properly review the actual match, which is so late. Sorry. But nevertheless, we're going to get into it here. Now, of course, as always, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. Even if it has been a little bit since we've done an Alliance review. In fact, I think I am going to put these not just in the wrestling reviews playlist that I have going, but I might give all the Alliance reviews their own playlist. Now, considering I am going to do the compilation style like I've done for several of my other videos, such as you know the such as the Batman Arkham one that I just did the other day. If you haven't already, you can check those out. You can check out the full series, or you can check out the compilation, whichever you prefer. But considering that there's a chance there's a chance I might not give them its own playlist just yet. But I'll think about it. I will contemplate it. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's make some finally, after so long, again, my deepest apologies. Let's finally make some headway. Let's do this. Now, of course, if you see these reviews, I already said that part. Alright, but or actually, I don't think I finished. So, but if you've seen these reviews of mine before, just in case I didn't, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you know how this works. If you haven't, I'm gonna be talking about what I liked, disliked about the event as a whole, each match and everything, and we're gonna go match by match. So, starting. Well, actually, we have some pre-show matches first, so I better get those out of the way. Pre-show slash Sunday Night Heat. The APA defeated Chris Canyon and Hugh Morris, and then Billy Kidman defeated Sky Tuhati to retain the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. But now moving on to the show proper, the Hardy Boys start off that being Matt and Jeff, accompanied by Lita. They battle against Lance Storm and the Hurricane, who are accompanied by both Ivory and Mighty Molly. The Hardy Boys. He's to my knowledge, I might be wrong. I don't think the Hardy Boys have missed a pay per view yet. They were even there for the UK once, if I'm not mistaken. So, good on them. Meanwhile, of course, Landstorm and the Hurricane, both part of the Alliance. Both teaming together more and more, as we're seeing as of late. Heidi Molly, aka the former Molly Holly, he broke up with Spike Dudley, joined the Alliance, and so became the Hurricane's sidekick, that being Mighty Molly. They're going to be, so she's accompanying them in this match here. And of course, alongside Ivory, who comes out with Lance Storm, and then Lita with the Hardy Boys, of course. But Nevertheless, as for this match, not a bad match, not a bad way to open the show. Some pretty decent action between these four competitors. They do bring up on commentary how, or like the history and everything between Matt Hardy, or between the Hardy Boys and the Hurricane, aka Gregory Helms, aka Shane Helms. I don't think he became Gregory Helms until he got to WWE. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. If I am, please correct me in the comments. But that's nevertheless, as they bring up the history between all three of them, especially them growing up in North Carolina. They were very close growing up, and they do. So they bring up that history, and then they also kind of in a way put over Landstorm as well. Landstorm. Not quite. You would think he'd be a lot more on fire in a lot of ways. He's versus what he was doing in WCW, where he was the man for quite a bit and got a lot of traction. But such is the Alliance slash the Invasion storyline. Not the first time you'll hear me say that, and won't be the last. But nevertheless, still pretty decent action. Between both sides, ultimately, the Hardy Boys do pick up the win, and things do get a little chaotic towards the end, especially when the managers get involved. Oh, Mighty Molly and Ivory try getting involved, and of course Paul Heyman says nothing. And of course the commentary team is once again Jim Ross and Paul Heyman. But then and when Lita gets involved, and then when Matt and Jeff are kind of doing, I don't want to say cheating necessarily, but Jeff does hit the swanton, but Matt is still the legal man. Then Paul Heyman complains. I mean, heel commentators got a heel commentator, but you can't have your cake and eat it too in a way. But nevertheless, the Hardy Boys do pick up the win. But next up in singles action, Test, who is part of the Alliance, battles the Big Red Machine, Kane. And actually, I will say to kind of bring up my point here, Test does beat Kane here. Pretty decent back and forth. I will say if the storyline was Stephanie McMahon and be like Test being Stephanie McMahon's boyfriend, which then and then her fiance, which then led to Triple H marrying her in the drive-through wedding, which then led to McMahon Helmsley regime. If that was Test's biggest like storyline, or where he got his biggest push, I would say, then his time here in the Alliance might be a close second. And because Test picking up the win over Kane, and actually a pretty decent back and forth. There is some referee chicanery here. The referee is Nick Patrick, so it's to be expected. But ultimately, Test nails Kane with the ring bell straight in front of the referee, and Nick Patrick does nothing, and Jim Ross totally rips him for it, and rightfully so. Then when Kane goes to hit the chair, then all of a sudden Nick Patrick decides, nope, oh, you are not to use that chair. So Kane kind of gets in his grill. He'll goes to chokeslam him and Test at the same time, so he has a double chokeslam spot, throws Nick Patrick down, but that does give Test the opening to hit the low blow and then hit the big boot for the win. Test is probably, unless you count like Drew McIntyre's Claymore, Test might be the only person I can think of who actually made the big boot an actual finisher. And to his credit, he has a solid big boot. Or I guess you could also count like the bro kick, like Sheamus's bro kick, or Matt Morgan's carbon footprint. And me personally, I don't know it. Oh, admittedly, that's kind of a can of worms. I don't feel like opening right now. But what Kane does open is a can of whoop ass all over Nick Patrick. So he grabs him, hits him with two choke slams. And the funniest thing is, he hits Nick Patrick with the one choke slam and goes to leave, thinks about it, goes in, hits Nick Patrick with another choke slam, and leaves, thinks about it again, and then nails Nick Patrick finally with a power bomb, and then spews up the fire and everything. So Kane does, in a way, kind of get screwed over by Nick Patrick, but he does get his comeuppance in the end, at least. But next up, in a lingerie match, Tori Wilson takes on Stacy Keibler. Now, Tori Wilson was part of the alliance alongside Stacy Keibler, both being brought over from WCW and everything. But ultimately, because of Tori's relationship with Tajiri, she is she kind of is kicked out of the alliance slash kind of distances herself from the alliance, and so it kind of leads to her and Stacy Keibler going at it. It's and there was a bikini contest between the two, because of course there was on I want to say SmackDown. I don't know if I see. Uh, yeah, on the October 4th episode of SmackDown on and I guess this is the rematch, the lingerie match between the two. Now, Stacy does have like the silk robe, and there is a funny moment where she shows what's underneath the robe to Matt Hardy, and Matt likes what he see. Matt indeed is woken. I'm sorry, that was terrible. But yeah, so the ladies are going to compete in a lingerie match just for her Tori Wilson to still be more scantily clad than Stacy Keibler. Now, look. Let me preface this portion of the review by saying I am not rude. You know, I can very much acknowledge that these are two very beautiful, attractive women. Dare I say that's kind of why they're here in the first place doing this. Is I will acknowledge they're both very attractive, and there is that male instinct side of me that in a way does kind of like what he sees. But then there's the other part of me that's like, damn, that was really what women's wrestling was like at the time. I've said it before, I'll say it again. And women's wrestling still has a long way to go, but they have still come such a long way from stuff like this. But nevertheless, this which I think, yeah, not counting the pre-show, is the shortest match of the night. Is kind of just a glorified cat fight, not a whole lot goes on. They do the steamroller spots. Tori, he does as get the win and over Stacy Keibler. Performing a handspring elbow. I should say. Of all things, I should say. Hey, Ala Tajiri, her boyfriend on screen, to pick up the win over Stacy Keibler. Or not a lot of sizzle on the steak. Again, like I said, no prude, who'd bury two very attractive women, obviously in lingerie. That's gonna get me every time. And Stacy, she does start. And Stacy Keibler is worth mentioning. She does start off wrestling in the rowboat before she eventually takes it off and reveals the lingerie underneath. Um, but like I said, I'm no prude, but my goodness. But I think the funniest part is like Paul Heyman and Jim Ross just going kind of gaga on commentary over it, and then Jim Ross calling Paul Heyman out on it and on him enjoying the show, which is kind of hypocritical. And then Paul Heyman just straight up owning it. And Jim Ross is like, "Yeah, you're enjoying this a whole lot," and Paul Heyman's like, and I'm paraphrasing, but Paul Heyman's pretty much like, "Yeah, pretty much." But yeah, so that's that, I suppose. But now on to the next part in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. If Christian defends the Intercontinental Championship against his former tag team partner and brother, at least at the time, Edge. Yes, as of course, at this time, Edge and Christian were billed as blood brothers. So at Unforgiven, Christian defeated Edge to pick up the win and become the new Intercontinental Champion. And however, at this point, it was more so just a personal rivalry between the two, who with Christian taking the Intercontinental Championship off of Edge, and them kind of going back and forth. But they're still brothers and they still care about each other very much. That is until Christian officially, I guess, in a way, turns on Edge and joins up with the alliance. There's a segment where Christian fakes a phone call, which is kind of weird. So, how it plays out, and they show this in the hype package, is like Edge gets a phone call saying that their mother was in a car accident. So he frankly gets Christian like, hey, mom's been in a car accident, and there was an accident. And so Christian's freaking out, saying like, why didn't they call me? And then the Alliance wrestlers try to stop them, and him and Edge tries to push past him, and then Christian attacks them, says the real accident is you being born 27 years ago. Edge is only 27 here? Damn. So Christian attacks them. It was all attacks Edge, I should say. So it was all a ruse, which is pretty crazy. He I get to really like twist the dagger into his brother, but yeah, Christian, you probably could have found an easier way to get to lure Edge into getting attacked by the Alliance superstars. But nevertheless, Christian is now joining the Alliance. So because of that, heel commentators got a heel now. Paul Heyman is totally singing the virtues of Christian. But will Christian be able to successfully defend his Intercontinental Championship against Edge? Well, no, but it was still a really good match. Of course, they put over how these two really masters of the ladder match. The triangle of things with the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. Chairs were more Edge and Christian's thing. The ladders that went to the Hardys, and then obviously the tables went to the Dudleys. But they do put over how many ladder matches they've been in, which does make sense, and really good back and forth. A lot of really fun action between the two. Just it's absolutely beating the crap out of each other. It feels personal, even when Edge is coming down. Christian meets him on the ramp, and Edge, I believe it was Edge who nailed a spear off the lat. Excuse me, nailed a spear off the ladder, her if I'm not mistaken, and oh no, it was a diving splash across the ladder, her and as a diving spear as well. So they did both. Eventually, Edge gets Christian back for low blowing him with the chair by low blowing Christian with a chair of his own, and then on top of the ladder, Edge nails the one man concerto onto Christian and pushes him off and uses that to become the new Intercontinental Champion. So Edge is once again Intercontinental Champion. Really fun match. But next up on the card are the Dudley Boys. Speak of the devil, the Dudley Boy. He's Bubba Ray and Devon defend the WWF Tag Team Championships against Big Show and Tajiri. Of course, Tajiri still having his problems with the Alliance. Doubly so now that William Regal has officially defected over to the Alliance. In fact, I'll get to that in a little bit. His defection, but now Tajiri has found himself a partner in the Big Show to battle for the tag team championships here. And the Dudley Boys, I believe the Dudley Boys have also been on every pay-per-view, which is also very impressive. And they've won most of their pay-per-views. I don't think they've lost a pay-per-view yet so far this year. In fact, because I remember how the rest of the year plays out, that being in terms of Rebellion, Survivor Series, and Vengeance. And damn, the Dudley Boys do not lose a pay-per-view match that I can remember in this time. If I'm wrong about that, then please correct me in the comments. I'll probably go back and check. In fact, it's worth probably going back and check. I should probably do that real quick before I say for certain. But yeah, so that's Unforgiven. Yeah, Dudley Boys won the 4-way elimination tag at Unforgiven. Now for SummerSlam, let's see. Dudley Boys. Yep, Dudley Boys beat APA and Spike. Then Invasion. Let's see. I don't see the. Yep, they were on Team WCW, ECW. That's when Austin defected towards the Alliance. And here at King of the Ring, Dudley Boys beat Spike Dudley. Yeah, so the Dudley Boys, he's technically, in terms of this stretch from Backlash to but from Backlash to to here or for the rest of the year. Oh, okay. They are. Uh, uh, oh, okay. Hey, so the Dudley Boys. Okay. Hey, so I was wrong. Dudley Boys are not undefeated. They lost in the tag team turmoil match at Judgment Day. So, I was wrong about that. So my apologies. But still, Dudley Boys winning most of their matches. That's pretty impressive. So hell of a year for the Dudleys. But nevertheless, they're battling Big Show and Tajiri. Not a bad match and pretty decent action. The story is that the Dudleys really don't want Big Show in the match. That's because Big Show is a game changer. Of course, he's a giant. He's big. He's one big SOB. Wait, that's Braun Strowman's catchphrase. Never mind. But Big Show is very big. Paul Heyman literally says in the commentary, "Why can't Big Show pick on somebody his own size?" And then and JR said, "Because there is nobody Big Show size. I can't wait for somebody to come along who's Big Show size." And he'll get his and JR will get his wish with Great Khali in about 5 years or so. But and actually, I think it took a little longer than that for. Oh no, they did cross paths because they did have the little alliance for Great American Bash 2006. But nevertheless, so oh, but pretty alright action, especially from Tajiri and of course the Dudley Boy. He's doing what they do. Who things do kind of break down a little bit. It's towards the end, and when Tajiri hits the mist on the referee, who is temporarily incapacitated. Big Show comes in and he chokes. Now this is kind of a weird, kind of goofy moment. Big Show choke slams, I believe, Devon and then tries to pin him, but the referee is yeah, so Big Show, he'll pin, choke slams Devon goes to pin him, but, the referee is still incapacitated because he got the mist in his eyes, but also B, even if he wasn't incapacitated, Big Show wasn't the legal man. Tajiri is, Big Show didn't officially tag in, the ref wasn't there to see it, and there is like a false tag spot between Tajiri and Big Show in the match, but then in comes Rhino, who nails Big Show with a gore to take him out. Oh, and then Tajiri tries fighting back, heck, even more, but then is hit with the 3D by the Dudley Boys in order for them to score the win. So the Dudley Boys retain, excuse me, the tag team championships there. Pretty decent match. But next up, the Undertaker from the WWF takes on Booker T from the Alliance. Booker T has called out the Undertaker, which is a very bold strategy. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off for him. But it's been years since I've seen Dodgeball, but the movie Dodgeball, that is. But yeah, so Booker T has called out The Undertaker, and so, they're going to have this match here. Booker T, he, very bold, to call out the dead man. And, Booker T doesn't even wait for, like, Undertaker just gets off his bike, and then Booker T is right off to the races. Oh, uh, so pretty hot start between the two, no pun intended to Booker T's, fire pyro and everything. But pretty alright action, pretty decent action between the two. Who Jim Ross does bring up how both of them are Texas boys, but pretty alright action. Booker T even gets a spinning Rooney in, and it's not immediately followed up with a move. He even gets a scissors kick on the Undertaker, but ultimately, the Undertaker does pick up the win over Booker T with the last ride because, of course, but yeah, so pretty decent action between the two. But next up in the semi-main event for the WCW World Championship, The Rock defends against Chris Jericho. Now, The Rock and Chris Jericho are technically on the same side. They're both on Team WWF. If you may be wondering why Team WWF, both why two members of the WWF are fighting over the WCW World Championship. And my response to that is stop asking questions. But they have been having issues with each other. They've been um, they've been really going back and forth. In the way they kind of always have. Even when Jericho first showed up, he had his barbs and his jabs with The Rock. Jericho being one of the few people on the mic who could actually match up with The Rock. But they've been going back and forth, especially as of late. And so, it's come down to who battle each other for the World Championship. This match. That's very fun, very good action between the two. Who you'll be hard pressed to find a bad Jericho match around this time at least. And The Rock is pretty fun able to do it. He does Rock locks in sharpshooter because of course he does. And then during the match, Stephanie McMahon shows up. She slides in the chair for The Rock to use because she famously does not like Jericho. Jericho said some not so nice things about Stephanie. So The Rock thanks her by nailing her with the Rock Bottom. And then Jericho. First. Jericho does nail rock bottom of his own to the Rock, but that's earlier in the match, and then he follows up with a lion salt. But then after the chair is brought in, then Jericho, which apparently this was around when he first debuted the move, the breakdown, and onto the chair for the Rock. It's pretty much like the Miz's skull crushing finale. So I imagine uh, once the Miz started using the skull crushing finale as a finisher, they pretty much wanted you to forget Jericho had this move, the breakdown first. And to be honest, it's all right. I think it fits the Miz a lot more. I'm glad Jericho still has some kind of impact finisher, that being the code breaker. But yeah, so Jericho nails the breakdown on the chair in order to pick up the win and become the WCW World Champion. So Stephanie McMahon inadvertently helps her nemesis Chris Jericho. Afterwards, The Rock kind of confronts Jericho. He holds up the chair, the smoking gun, and just hands the chair to Jericho and lets him celebrate in the ring. And I believe they shake hands. Well, or no, he just hands the chair to Jericho. Pretty much Rock saying, "I know what you did last summer. I'm sorry I had to." But yeah, so Jericho picks up the win as the new WCW World Champion, and so yeah, pretty solid match, pretty fun match actually between the two. But finally, in the main event and triple threat action for the WWF Championship, the leader of the Alliance, Stone Cold Steve Austin, defends against Kurt Angle and Rob Van Dam. That's right, two Alliance members going at it. So Kurt Angle did beat Austin at Unforgiven and to become WWF champion, but was ultimately cost the championship, and it was dropped back to Austin after William Regal turned on the WWF and joined up with the Alliance. He fully defected to the Alliance, so now Austin is champion once again. But there's some infighting between Austin and Rob Van Dam and kind of the other members of the Alliance, as Austin's kind of showing some tough love. And the fires are stoked even more with her by Vince, and it's giving RVD a ride in the limo. Oh, uh, really sowing the seeds of dissension among the Alliance. Uh, uh, but nevertheless, RVD now says he's looking out for himself. He does prove his loyalty at first to the Alliance by hitting a frog splash on Kurt Angle, but then as we get closer to No Mercy, then he hits a frog splash on Austin. So whose side is he on? And pretty funny part, and this was first brought to attention that I remember from Wrestling Regret when he reviewed No Mercy 2001 a couple years ago, how Kurt Angle has a championship in like the hype package. He's holding the championship, and then it pops out a frame. They like zoom it out, and then it's popped out. He's like, where'd it go? Oh man, I'm not the champion anymore. Where the title from? Oh, it's so hokey, but it's so funny. But nevertheless, as for this match, pretty great, pretty solid action, I would say, between these three. I think these three really really worked well with each other, and the stories told throughout of RVD really coming into his own, really going after Austin and Angle, but especially it's mainly Angle going against Austin and also going against RVD as well, to try and become champion again. And so there's no real friends. And I think having that kind of dissension, and I think worked well in the story and kind of show and kind of made for an interesting dynamic where it's not just a glorified handicap. There actually is actual tension between Angle and Austin, and so that aspect was pretty good. Vince McMahon, who did show up earlier in the night saying he was going to make an impact, he sure enough shows up, and sure enough, tells Kurt Angle to get in the ring. Even nails Austin with a chair as he's about to pick up the win, and it does bust Austin open in the back of the head, so he's bleeding in the back of the head. And I don't think it was quite as bad as when it happened to John Moxley earlier this year, but it was still pretty nasty. But Austin is bleeding. Then and Shane McMahon shows up as Kurt Angle's about to get the win, and Shane shows up, attacks Angle, then Vince straight up just tackles his son over the announce table, which was pretty funny, and then Stone Cold uses that opportunity to nail the stunner on Rob Van Dam on his own guy, hey, in order to pick up the win and retain the championship. So Vince has tried to screw Austin out of the title, but unintentionally he keeps the championship, the WWF championship, within the Alliance camp. Admittedly, with Austin and RVD being the only two left in the ring, Kurt Angle is already taken out by this point. I would say in the Alliance can't be either way, but now Austin is still the champion. So McMahon's plan unfortunately backfired, but like I said, still really, really great match. So that is going to do it for this event. If I had to pick the strongest and weakest matches of the night for me, the strongest definitely, I would definitely give it to either the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship or the last two, who that being Jericho versus Rock and the Triple Threat. Both were, all three of those nominations were pretty good matches. The weakest, the lingerie match. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this review. Just a few more to go, but we're almost there. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those social notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comment section below what are your thoughts on No Mercy 2001 as well as my review. Did you like this event? Did you like my review of this event? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.